What up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Monday. Hopefully, you had a good weekend. Appreciate you tuning in. Wherever, however, you're tuning in on this fine August 19th DK show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at stream it up over there. You got the app, download it, take it on the go. Video streams also up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube here this morning. Appreciate, well, as I already said, appreciate you making us part of your start here. What do we got on a good old game plan from the weekend here? Brewers getting some cleaning done, sweeping the Cleveland Guardians heading into the series. Cleveland top record Major League Baseball, and the Brewers, what do? Well, they just get the brooms out and they sweep them out of town. Brewers now 20 games over 500, 72 and 52, holding on to a whopping 11-game lead in the division over the St. Louis Cardinals, who they will play starting tomorrow for a 3-game series. But a fantastic weekend for the Brewers, sweeping the Guardians of Cleveland. As we mentioned, now really putting them back in that conversation as one of baseball's best teams. And Twins probably pretty happy. They're just 2 games back from the Cleveland Guardians, with the Guardians now having to take on the Yankees, although the Twins will be taking on the Padres here. Kansas City's just 3 back. They've got the Angels coming up on their schedule. So AL Central may be getting a little bit tighter over there. But with their 72nd win, they're just not that far back from Philly, who is 73 and 51. And then you got the Dodgers, 73 and 52. Philly taking on Atlanta. Dodgers going to be taking on Seattle. So you're going to be doing a little scoreboard watching over there too. So, but the Brewers, yeah, putting themselves in that position to maybe compete for the top record in the National League. How about that? What a bounce back after the first 2 games against the Dodgers too, right? But overall, when you look at this homestand, which was the longest homestand of the season for the Brewers, they took advantage of it. They took advantage of it, going 7-3 on this homestand. Even before that, with the Atlanta series, taking care of business against Atlanta. Brewers are now on a 5-game winning streak. So, gotta tip your cap to the Brewer Crew, and you gotta tip your cap to some starting pitchers from this weekend for the Brewers. Every starting pitcher for the Crew picking up wins. Aaron Civale on Friday nights going 6 innings, or excuse me, that Friday? I'm getting my days mixed up. But Aaron Civale picking up a win. Yeah. 6 innings, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 4 Ks, 1 walk. Then you had Freddie Peralta going 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, giving up that home run. Colin Ray was magical yesterday. 7 innings, 2 hits, 5 Ks, no walks, no runs. In fact, the Brewers holding them to just 2 total hits in the game yesterday, a 2-0 victory. And they were tight games too. 2-0, 2-1, 5-3 on Friday night in Civale's win. So, and Brewers did jump out to a 5-0 lead, and the Guardians made it a little bit closer in the 8th, giving Aaron Civale a 3-run lead after the first, thanks to Willy Adames with another 3-run home run and such. But got to give credit to the pitchers stepping it up big time. So lots to like here with this Brewers sweep here. So now that we are percentage-wise a little bit into the final quarter of the regular season here, about 76-ish and change percent through the regular season here. So we're a little bit into that final quarter. I want to throw out a couple questions for discussion coming up here. One, now that we are into this final quarter, your biggest question mark entering the final quarter of the season. Now, let's just throw this one out there so we don't always have to bring it up. Health is probably number one for everybody. I think we can all agree with that one, right? Health is probably number one. Can the guys stay healthy? Can starters stay healthy? Can position players, stay healthy? Health is easily number one. So if we take health out of this, if we take health out of the equation, what is the biggest question mark entering the final quarter of the regular season for the Brewers? And then secondly, to think a little bit more positive, what are you most confident about with this Brewers team as you head into the final quarter of this season? What's the thing that you are the most confident in? Like, take it to the bank. I'm good with this one. Like, I feel good about what the Brewers are doing entering this final quarter, maybe even going into the postseason here. So let me know. Okay. Hit me up with some thoughts. Text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Maybe you stayed up late like myself watching that Packers preseason game last night. Oh, it was rough. It was pretty rough. It was a big yawner. It was pretty dull. 27-2 loss for the Packers in preseason game number 2. And I mean, I don't know what else we could say other than it was a big old stinky egg, just a boring dud game. I mean, you safety in the third, and that was about it. I mean, not a whole lot of positive stuff I don't think you could take away from this game other than we got to see Tyron Hopper, linebacker for the Packers, 11 total tackles out there, first appearance. So, I mean, he was making some plays. Christian Welch had an interception, linebacker, maybe trying to make a push to join this roster, maybe a little special teams role there. But other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot. Now, I understand that Packers rested their starters. They did not play their starters. And, in the beginning of the game, it was Denver starters versus Packers second team and such. But, I mean, there still wasn't a whole lot to take away from this game. It was, I mean, what? Michael Pratt was 10 of 16 for 52 yards. Sean Clifford was 6 of 10 for 43 yards. Emmanuel Wilson, 13 carries for 41 yards. There really wasn't a whole lot. Now, I know maybe it's a little social media freaking out and such, but I mean, Bill Huber from Packer Report had a piece up after the game saying there are some concerns surrounding this team entering the final preseason game coming up on Saturday. And you factor in maybe the joint practice too with Denver, where Packers offense with the starters, with the number ones, were not that great, a little bit off. And then you head into the game here and kind of the same old thing with the Packers reserves over there. So, I mean, is there something to be concerned about? And after a preseason game, after the second preseason game, much ado about nothing at this point in time. I mean, I think if there was one thing that maybe the preseason game from last night showed, I think you could perhaps maybe make an argument about depth. If there's a lot of Packer starters that are going to miss time, hopefully not, knock on wood, due to injury or anything like that, they may struggle to win some games. But I think we got to look at the overall bigger picture here too. Again, you're not scheming. You're calling a very basic defense. I think, what was it? Jeff Hafley only had a handful of play calls, basic stuff out there, just trying to win your one-on-one matchups and such. But I think if there was one thing that really kind of maybe showed in the game yesterday, is that if a lot of these reserve players, if a lot of these backup players have to play meaningful snaps in the regular season, Might be a little nervous. You might be a little bit nervous with that heading in, especially maybe at the quarterback position. It's really going to be interesting to me to see how Matt LaFleur goes about this final preseason game because they got joint practices. Baltimore's coming to town. They're going to have a joint practice with Baltimore. And last week, Matt LaFleur, even before the joint practice, said that starters probably wouldn't play. Jordan Love and such wouldn't play in that game because they'd take more out of the joint practice. Well, the joint practice was rough for the Packers offense. And then it was rough for the backups in this previous game. So how does that change? Matt LaFleur was kind of non-committal about it after the game yesterday, after last night. He left the door open for starters to play, but considering how the backup quarterbacks have played, I don't know. Maybe you want to give those guys some more opportunities. And then the kicking came too. It's just, Greg Joseph missed a field goal, and he's been trending downward big time as of late here. So, I mean, if I had to make a pick, I would probably say Anders is the leading guy heading into the final week or the final preseason game. I think he's the leading kicker right now. Just because Greg Joseph is kind of struggling a little bit here. Not only just because of that game, but he's been struggling a little bit in practice too. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. Got the weekend hangover. So what was the best? What was the worst? What was the highs? What were the lows from your weekend? Let us know. We'll do a little weekend Warriors shout outs. Anybody go out there? Maybe it was had a good round of golf. Maybe you played in a tournament. Maybe you just dominated some bike trails, did a little camping, whatever the case may be. If you dominated the weekend warrior, let us know. We'll give you a shout out. Hit us up at the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. So plenty to get to here this morning. Let's jump right into it. What's on your mind? Let me know. Hit me up with those texts or comment on the video stream and all that good stuff. We'll lead it off talking a little Brew Crew, recapping a fantastic weekend for the Brewers, sweeping the Cleveland Guardians. The Brewers now 20 games over 500, holding on to an 11-game lead over the Cardinals in the division. It's a good weekend for the starting pitchers for this ball club, and the Brewers now in a position to be fighting for the top spot in the National League. I mean, after that first two games against the Dodgers, what a bounce back for the Crew. 5 wins in a row, 7-3 on their homestand. Pretty darn impressive. Considering, too, when they found out heading into this series that one of their leaders, Christian Yelich, was going to be done for the year, Brewers responded by sweeping one of the better teams in all of Major League Baseball. How about that? So we'll talk some Brewers before we get to a little green and gold. But again, join me in the conversation. Hit me up with those texts or comments on the video stream. Quick break, and then we'll get the leadoff going here after these quick words. Fall in Wisconsin is absolutely gorgeous. Driving around and seeing all the leaves changing colors when it's that time of year. You know what would make fall in Wisconsin even better, though? If you were able to sit on that back porch, taking it all in your new home or your cabin on your new property. Make that dream a reality with the help from Woods and Water Realty. Just visit woodsandwater.com to find your new dream home, your first home, or that property that you can put a camper or build a cabin on and start enjoying the beauty that Wisconsin has to offer. Just visit woodsandwater.com to get started, especially maybe with hunting season coming up here too. If you're looking for little parcel of hunting land and such, you can check out all the listings at woodsandwater.com. All right, let's get things going here this morning on the leadoff. Already, we've got G-Man chiming in here. DK Wild Brewers are playing very good baseball. Now an 11-game lead and 37 games to go. DK, did the Pack have 0 players get hurt last night? One linebacker did suffer a concussion in the game last night. It was Goforth. Yeah, Goforth, because saw his name on the back of his jersey. I'm like, Goforth. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Maybe it was only funny to me. Anyways, G-Man also saying on the texting line, I gotta go back to it. Are you and Hudson going to the game Saturday in Green Bay? Yes, we are. We will be at the game on Saturday in Green Bay. I have to say, Brewers will win series after series the rest of the year. So that's G-Man there this morning on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text over there. So join in on the convo, 715-830-1912. All right. Brew Crew picking up the series win. That's where we're leading things off here this morning. Picking up a very impressive series win over the Cleveland Guardians. I threw in a couple questions just for a little banter, a little talking points, a little debate, whatever the case may be. But now that we are into the final quarter of this regular season here for the Brewers, we're about 76% of the way through the season. 2 questions. One, what is the biggest question mark heading into this final quarter if we take health off the table? Health is probably everybody's number one pick, and it should be. So, other than health, what is the biggest question mark? What is the biggest concern or unknown, however you want to phrase it, for this Brewers team entering the final quarter of this regular season? What is it? And then, second, what are you actually the most confident about this Brewers team as we enter this final quarter of the regular season? This final quarter to not only solidify your playoff spot. Maybe maybe even moving up to a top spot, top seed 1-2 in the National League. Maybe getting a bye. Is that kind of the goal now entering this thing? It's like, okay, we got an 11-game lead in this division. Let's up the goals here a little bit. Maybe you're confident that you're going to win the division. So maybe your new goal is like getting that top seed in the National League. And honestly, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at with this thing. I'm going to be a little greedy with this when it comes to the Brewers. You're 20 games over 500. You're in the running for the top spot in the National League. Top spot in Major League Baseball for crying out loud here. So I'm probably, to answer the question, what are you most confident in entering this final quarter? I'm probably confident in that they're going to win the division. Don't want to be too overconfident or anything like that, but I mean, 11 games. Brewers have a hell of a chance starting on Tuesday with this 3-game series to maybe really put a nail in the coffin of the Cardinals. They'll be on the road here, and they got the Cardinals again in the beginning of September, starting on Labor Day. That'll be in Milwaukee, but I mean, they've got a heck of a chance here. A heck of a chance to really maybe solidify this division here. Now, the one thing is, And I think this kind of maybe goes into my biggest concern heading into this final quarter is not getting complacent. So my biggest confidence and my biggest concern for the Brewers kind of go hand in hand. I'm confident they're going to win this division, but I'm concerned about maybe getting a little complacent. Maybe getting, to those youngsters kind of be like, oh, dude, 11 games. We got the division wrapped up here. Life is good. Life is awesome right now. Well, let's get some momentum and let's get some confidence going into the postseason here, too. But I want to go back to the new goal, if you will, for me. Brewers are one game back from having the top spot in the National League. Just one game back from the Philadelphia Phillies. In case you didn't remember, too, the Brewers do welcome the Philadelphia Phillies to Milwaukee in the middle of September. So I'm looking at this thing, too, and why I feel like the new goal or the next goal, however you want to phrase it, after winning the division, I'm looking at let's get the top spot in the National League because some of these wild card teams, I'd be nervous about playing. I'd be pretty nervous about playing if in the first round there. Now, Arizona cooled down a little bit this past weekend. They've lost their last 3. Padres, though, still 7-3 in their last 10. They're at 70 wins, 70-55 overall. But, I mean, if it's the Padres, the Diamondbacks, you throw in Atlanta in there too. Those are currently right now, those are your wild card teams. I could try to maybe avoid that and maybe get a little bit of a bye, get a little bit of rest in that. I'd be looking at that and be like, ooh, yeah, give me some of that. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this thing here too, is like, man, if we got a chance to get that bye, I'm all about that. And right now, because of that series win and because of splitting against the Dodgers too, when it looked like it was not going well, and I will fully admit, after they lost the first 2, and after the first inning of the third game, when the Brewers are down 3-0 right away, I'm like, oh God, what is it with this team right now with the Dodgers or anything like that? And that spark, after they tied it up in the third game of that Dodgers, it just kind of got this team going here a little bit more. Kind of got them back on the right path. So I'm kind of looking. I'm not kind of. I am right now. I'm looking at the rest of the schedule here for both Philadelphia and the Dodgers to kind of like, okay, do the Brewers have a good shot? It is baseball. Anything can happen. Throw in all your other narratives or quotes and about sports and all that. But I'm looking at Philadelphia's schedule to finish off the month of August. So they've got these 3 games against Atlanta in Atlanta. Now Atlanta's looking at this like, we gotta try to get back up in here and solidify that wild card spot here. Then you got Kansas City, who's just 3 games back in their division. I mean, the Twins and Kansas City send a cheese basket to the Brewers there because they've made that AL Central race a whole lot more interesting right now by sweeping Cleveland. I mean, it is tight. It is tight. So, and that's at Kansas City. Then they finish off the month at home against Houston, at home against the Braves. Then they're on the road against Toronto and the Marlins there. Then they got Tampa Bay. Then they got the Mets mixed in there. I mean, I'll call it what it is. Philadelphia's September schedule looks fairly manageable. Really, their toughest opponent in the whole month of September is that 3-game series in Milwaukee against the Brewers. They've got a couple series against the Mets. Maybe the Mets will get back in this thing and really trying to compete for a wild card spot, so maybe they'll give them their best shot there. But you got the Cubs mixed in there, and the Cubs aren't that far back, and Washington's under. Philadelphia's September schedule, though, it looks favorable to the Phillies. Dodgers, I mean, so they won this series against the Cardinals. They took 2 out of 3. They've got the Mariners coming up, then Tampa Bay. Then a big series in the middle of the week here, or middle of the final week of August. Home for 3 games against Baltimore. Then you're at home against, or then you're on the road against the Diamondbacks. Then they're home against Cleveland. They got Atlanta for 4 games. Rockies a couple times. And then 3 games at home starting September 24th against the Padres. So, I mean, depending on where things stand, Padres may have a lot to play for in that series too. And then, of course, you look at the Brewers here, and then I look at the Brewers as a team that has I think the Brewers have a little bit more of a difficult schedule in the month of September than what the Phillies and the Dodgers have. If we're just looking at it on paper, they've got, St. Louis, Arizona for 7 games on there. Arizona may be competing for positioning in a wild card, or depending on what the Dodgers do, maybe they can make a run there. Mets may be competing for a wild card spot in that final series against the Brewers. Pittsburgh's in there. Giants are in there too. But this is going to be fun to watch in the final, this final quarter of this regular season here between the 3 teams in the National League, the 3 top teams in the National League. And I think it should be a goal for the Brewers. I absolutely think it should be. Yes, you want to win the division. No doubt about it. That should be goal number 1, to win the division. But I'm looking at this now and be like, hey, boys, we got a shot here to take that top seed. And for me as a fan, I'm sure the players and the managing staff and the coaching staff or whatever, they're all about, doesn't matter who we play, we just got to take care of our own business. And that's the mindset that you're supposed to have. But as a fan, if I could get the bye and maybe try to avoid an opening series against one of these wild card teams that for a big time stretch there, they were looking pretty darn hot. Pretty darn hot. If I could avoid that in that first round, I'll take that. Let them hopefully maybe kind of beat up on each other in that opening round there. Yeah, 100%. I would take that any day of the week. So this National League it's shaping up, and I kind of overlooked the Giants here, and the Brewers have the Giants for 2 more series, and I shouldn't have completely, because the Giants are just 4 games back from a wild card spot here, and they could really improve their chances starting today because they've got the White Sox. So I mean the Giants, Brewers play them for 3 games at home in Milwaukee at the end of the month next week, and then they're on the road to San Francisco for 3 games too. So I mean, you look at that, you look at the NL West. It's kind of interesting in terms of, okay, the Padres are now 3 back from the Dodgers. Diamondbacks are 4. Giants, they ain't gonna win the division, but they're competing for that wild card spot right now. And lo and behold, the Brewers still the biggest gap, hold the biggest lead in any division from first to second in any division of Major League Baseball. Yeah, Baltimore, New York, tied up there, 73 and 52. Guardians now just back to a 2-game lead over the Twins. Houston's holding on to a 4-game lead against Seattle. So, I mean, Seattle's got something to play for here. And they've got the Dodgers starting tonight. So that could be a pretty darn decent series there. Seattle maybe a little bit more at stake here. National League, Philadelphia, holding on to their lead, 7 games over Atlanta. So they're not really on cruise control, but comfortable. And the Dodgers, as we mentioned, just 3 games over the Padres right now. Padres have 70 wins on the season. It's going to be a fantastic race to the finish here. But a huge weekend for the Brewers. It was a huge weekend for the starters for this Brewers team. Going back to Friday night, Brewers giving Aaron Civale a early lead, 3 runs in the first, thanks to another 3-run home run by Willy Adames. Brewers tacked on a run each in the third and the fourth. Things got a little interesting in the 8th. with the Guardians closing that gap 5-3. But nonetheless, the Brewers able to hold on and pick up the first win Friday nights 5-3, and then going to Saturday, Freddie Peralta 6 innings. So really quick, Aaron Civale finished his Friday outing 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, striking out 4 and only issuing 1 walk. Freddie Peralta 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, that home run. Did issue a couple walks, 3 Ks, but he picked up the win like Aaron Civale picked up the win. Brewers also giving Freddie a little lead there right away, 1-0. First, get jumping out early, right? Brewers in this series against the Guardians, putting up runs in the first inning in each of their games. In the 3 games against the Guardians, starting off putting up runs in the first inning. But the series finale yesterday was high. I mean, Civale picking up a win, solid. Freddie Peralta picking up a win, solid. And then the series finale, it was just magical from Colin Rea. 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 5 Ks, picking up his 11th win on the season. Colin Rea and his, shall we say, magical season just continues here for the Brewers. What Pat Murphy said it after the game yesterday, kind of an anchor within this rotation, and it was a nice bounce back from Colin Rea from that loss that he suffered against the Dodgers, where he gave up 7 earned runs. Remember that game, 10 hits and 7 earned runs? But even before that game before the Dodgers, Colin Rea went 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and no earned runs, and struck out 9. I mean, Colin Rea, rewind it a little bit. I think a lot of us, one of our biggest concerns with Colin Rea was like the consistency, which at the beginning of the season was like, okay, what kind of version are we going to get from him? But really, Colin Rea has been just dang consistent throughout the whole season. April, 3.57 ERA. May, little off, 4.22 ERA. July, 3.25 ERA. Or excuse me, that was June, 3.25 ERA. July, 3.54 ERA. August, 3.15. Is it A stuff? It's not A stuff, but it's a consistent starting spot in a rotation where now you kind of get the feel of like, and he's going to have his off days. We just saw it against the Dodgers. And really, when you look at it, he had that in July, the July game against Pittsburgh. He was off, 7 earned runs. June against the Padres, 5 earned runs. May against Houston, 5 earned runs. April against the Yankees, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs. He's kind of had that one start in every month where he's just been a little off. But for the most part, Colin Rea has been pretty darn consistent, maybe the most consistent pitcher. I'm saying the best, but one of the most, if not the most consistent pitcher within the starting rotation so far for the Brewers. And where would this staff be without Colin Rea? I never thought I'd be saying that. But where would the starting staff be without Colin Rea right now? It's just another example of dudes stepping up, players stepping up and taking advantage of their opportunities. This is what you want to see with younger teams or with guys that nobody else wanted, and you bring them in. You get an opportunity to play. Take advantage of this opportunity. And a lot of these guys on this Brewers team, they're taking advantage of that opportunity, and they're making the most out of that opportunity. That's why, how can you not love this team? How can you not have fun watching this team? To see the guys taking advantage of an opportunity and running with it, like a Colin Rea or a Hudson or even a Jared Koenig, guys that were cast offs from other teams, Brewers take them on, they give them a shot, and they're running with it. And they're having career years, their best years. It's so fun to watch this team. Yes, there's ups and downs, but that's baseball. That's sports. I was down after the first 2 games with the Dodgers. I was frustrated. It's like, here we go. Can't beat the top teams again. But then what do? They just grind it out. I mean, what's the best word to describe this Brewers team so far? Is it a grinded out team or best word, best phrase? Cardiac Brewers, hard. I mean, I don't know. It's probably a few different words or phrases we could throw out there. But I think the off date's coming on up at a good time here for the Brewers. I mean, their last off day, you got to go back to August 5th. So I mean, they've been grinding this out. 3 games against Atlanta, on the road, Cincinnati, Dodgers, Cleveland. Get a little off day, travel, St. Louis. Get another off day next week, Monday too. So I think it's coming at a good time. Kind of regroup and refocus there. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll finish up the first hour. I want to talk some Packers coming up next hour too. So don't forget, I want to hear from you. All right, hit me up with some thoughts. What's on your mind here this morning? All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Have you checked out the food at VFW Post 305 lately? From their taco omelets to their Friday fish fry, the menu at VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. Plus, with their expanded kitchen hours, they are your new go-to place for a meal, good company, and good entertainment, with music happening Wednesdays and Saturdays. So the next time you're wondering where you should be doing some breakfast, lunch, or dinner, head on over to VFW Post 305, located at 1300 Star Avenue. 1300 Star Avenue. And if you haven't tried the taco omelet, go check it out, right, G-Man? I mean, that thing is to die for. It's huge. It's loaded. Gosh, it was good. So, hopefully, I know yesterday too at VFW Post 305, they had their first annual Family Fun Day and Vendor Fair over there too. So, doing a lot of cool stuff, doing a lot of awesome stuff at VFW Post 305. Also, want to remind you all, September 6th, Friday, September 6th, we're going to be doing the show on the road. We're going to hop in the mobile man cave and we're going to set up for a little tailgate show Friday, September 6th. Because, well, that's when the Pack play to open up the regular season. So we're going to be doing the program from Hy-Vee outside there. More details to come. I know they're working on some stuff, some special stuff planned for like breakfast and such. But we're going to set up outside and kind of have a little tailgate feel over there and do the program over there Friday, September 6th. And I think we're going to even maybe give away some prizes and such. So put that on the calendar. Maybe as you're heading off to work or such, stop by, say hi, toot the horn for a little Go Pack Go over there, right? So, but that'll be fun over at Hy-Vee. And um, speaking of Hy-Vee too, if you're getting ready for the upcoming football season, whether it's at the high school level or college level or pro level, get ready for football season with Hy-Vee. Whether you're tailgating at the game or having a party at your home, Hy-Vee has all the essentials you need for game days, from their meat department, snacks and beverages, including their huge wine and spirits department. Go grab some new Man Cave Light from Bent Paddle Brewing. Hy-Vee is your tailgating headquarters. And don't forget to check out their sports shop too, where you can get some swag to help cheer on your favorite team, including some of the local high schools. It's football season. Score a touchdown with all of your football needs with Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. I'm going to have to stop there because I'm not sure what to wear to the game on Saturday. I don't think I'm ready to buy a new jersey yet. So I might hold off on buying jerseys. Otherwise, maybe I'll just rep the good old stuff over there. So, uh, like the Hudson and the Star jersey or such. To answer Jake from State Farm, when are we doing draft? I am not the commissioner of the league, so you got to talk to C-Bomb. C-Bomb is the commissioner of the Fantasy Football League. Whoever, all of you who have signed up, I am not the commissioner. So it is C-Bomb who sets up the time. So go get in his ear over there. Mark, our good friend who knows a little bit something about baseball. The Brewers have grit, which is a good thing for a baseball team and surprising for a team loaded with young players. Pat Murphy has grit and has passed on that trait to the guys. I would agree with you. Mark. That's a good word to describe this team right now. Grit with this Brewers team. Again, reminder, off day today for the Brewers before they hit the road and take on the Cardinals for 3 games. Kind of a little bit of a road trip here. 3 games against the Cardinals, and they got 3 games against Oakland. Please, not to be negative or not to think of the negative side or the downside of everything. Don't lose that series against Oakland. Just don't. Remember last year, the series against Oakland, where it was just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that against Oakland. Please don't. That takes some wind out of the sails over there. So okay. We'll get back to some more. Well, actually, we'll get to some Packers talk coming up here in just a couple more texts here. When it comes to the Brewers, this is from Eric. Eric is saying, what a fantastic weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. I agree with you. It was great to see some solid starting pitching from this group. Savali, Freddie Peralta, and then Colin Ray, who had the best start of them all. It was a very positive thing to see to answer your questions, what am I most nervous about or my biggest concern heading into this final quarter, I would have to say what you said earlier and say, don't be too complacent. You still have a lot to play for outside of winning the division. Hopefully, Pat Murphy can continue to keep this group focused. The thing that I'm most confident in is that they will win the division. Another texter answering both questions, don't have a name, can't give you any credits, but they said, besides health, the thing that I'm most concerned about is the players going through some rough stretches and not having any momentum as we approach the postseason. The thing that I'm most confident in is, looks like a lot of you saying, winning the division right now. Brewers up 11 games over the Cardinals to win the division. Don't get too complacent though, right? So Cubs are actually creeping up. I think they're just a half game back from second place in the division. Do I have it? Do I still have it up here? Oh, I still had it. Yeah, yeah, they're just a half game back from the Cardinals, and the Cubs taking on the Tigers. It looks like starting tomorrow. So, okay, we'll get back to some more of your Brewers texts. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up a little bit later on. Don't forget to give me your weekend Warrior shout outs. Did you have did you dominate some bike courses or the golf course, softball tournaments, whatever, little league tournaments, whatever? I don't care. Send it over so we can give you some shout outs, weekend warriors and such. Also, don't forget it is the weekend hangover. What were the highs? What were the lows? What was the best? What was the worst from the weekend? Make your picks by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right. Coming up next hour, I want to talk a little green and gold. Late night last night for that yawner of a preseason game. Packers falling 27-2. Any concern from what you saw from the game, and then maybe add on what you heard from the joint practice against Denver? There's some writers who cover the Packers think there's a little bit of concern with this team, or are you on the other side of the aisle where you're like, come on, it's preseason. Don't want to be too, how should we say, too concerned over or overreact from a preseason game. So give me your thoughts. Okay. Did you learn anything? Do you have more questions about this team? Would you play? How about this? I'll throw this question out to you. Would you play the starters in this final preseason game? And if you're going to the game, kind of leave that answer, like, well, I'm going to the game, so I want to see them. No, don't. I'm going to the game too. Yes, I would love to see some of the starters because I'm taking Hudson. But take that, push that to the side. Do you think the starters should play at least some snaps in this final preseason game? Before the Denver game, Matt LaFleur said starters wouldn't because he thought they'd get more out of joint practices, but starters struggled in joint practices, so maybe should he have started? It's hindsight 2020, but should the starters have played a little bit? Do you think they should? Similar situation. Baltimore's coming over for a joint practice. Should some of those starters play in this final season or final preseason game? What do you think? Let me know. I want to hear your opinions. 1 in, 2 more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Monday morning. What up, everybody? Hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend and you are ready to hit up a brand new work week here. Appreciate you making us a part of your start on this Saturday. Or I was gonna say on this Saturday. I'm ready for Saturday already on this Monday morning. Don't forget it is a weekend hangover. Maybe I'm on a weekend hangover right now. But what was the highs? What was the lows from your weekends? Share it with the rest of the class. All right. Best and worst. Text me, comment on the video stream, all that good stuff. All right. Let me know. Also, weekend warrior. Anybody dominating softball fields, golf course, bike trails, hit the woods, maybe getting ready for hunting season with some stand work and that. Let me know. We'll give you a shout out. All right. 715-830-1912 with a quick text over there. Coming up next hour, a little under an hour from now, we'll catch up with Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News. Big week coming up we got start of high school football season, first games on the schedule coming up on Friday. Every other fall sports kind of getting underway with practice and such, especially started last week. I know tennis actually had some action this past weekend too. So we'll do some local sports roundup with Justice just shortly after 8 o'clock here this morning. We'll get back to some Brewers talk here too, as the crew having a fantastic weekend. That's an easy pick for your weekend hangover for the highs and the best and such. So, but maybe if that's not your pick, got something else, let me know. But we'll get back to some Brewers talk. I did throw out a couple questions that I want your thoughts on, Brewers fans. Okay, I know you got answers for it, so share it with the rest of the class. Okay. 1, final quarter of the regular season. What is your biggest concern, biggest question mark? A lot of you, it seems like from those who have texted, and we're not accounting for health because that'd probably be number one for a lot of us. But it looks like the majority right now is maybe your biggest concern is being a little too complacent at this point in time. But also, what are you the most confident in? What are you the most confident in surrounding this Brewers team as we head into the final quarter of this regular season? And honestly, it looks like a lot of you too also saying, I'm confident they're going to win the division. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'll add a little bit more and where I'm going to tie it all together for me. I'm confident that they're going to win the division. But that kind of transitions into maybe my biggest concern, where I do agree with a lot of you, where do they get a little complacent? But I also feel like, okay, we've got another goal here at hand. And I think this is where it allows them maybe to not get complacent. Let's go for the number 1 seed. Let's go for the top spot in the National League. You're a game back from the Philadelphia Phillies. You don't hold any tiebreakers as of right now, especially with the Dodgers. You don't. They're a half game up on you. Let's go. Let's get the top spot. And if you could avoid maybe playing one of those hot teams, and I know Arizona's cooled down a little bit, but if you could avoid maybe playing the Padres or whoever that may be, I'd be all about that. Let's go. We got another goal at hand here. And I think maybe that's what can help get this team be not complacent. But I think Pat Murphy's going to do a really good job, and he has done throughout this whole season, of keeping the team focused. Game by game situation. So we'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here. We did have a Packers preseason game last night, Sunday Night Football, for crying out loud, 7 p.m. And boy, was that kind of a yawner last night. No majority of starters. I mean, there was a couple, depending on who you consider. Maybe, Sean Ryan got some snaps in and such. But for the most part, the main starters not playing in the game. Matt LaFleur had said earlier on in the week last week that starters probably wouldn't play in this game, that he got a little bit more, or he believes he gets a little bit more out of the joint practice that they had with Denver. And to kind of recap, joint practice didn't go that well. Kind of got humbled a little bit there, especially on the offensive side of things for the Packers and that. Well, they got a little bit more humbled last night too. 27-2 victory for Denver. And again, I mean, there's some people, some writer, Bill Huber from Packer, covers the Packers and such, kind of has a new piece up that he posted up late last night, early this morning, saying, no, maybe some concerns there with this team, with this Packers team. Said, kind of tweeted out, said the Packers lost 27-2 at the Broncos, and all the excuses are just that, excuses. The Packers have some real problems. If you don't want to take my word for it, then take Matt LaFleur's word for it. Some comments from Matt LaFleur after the game. Said that was a long night. Certainly, I was hoping our guys would come out with more strain, effort, grit after kind of getting humbled the other day in practice. And then to have it happen again is not where you want to be. I think it's a good lesson for our guys in terms of it doesn't matter who's out there. If you don't put your best foot forward each and every time you go out on the field, these things happen to you. We're going to have to regroup, take a long look, hard look in the mirror. We've got to get better. We need that urgency from everybody. LaFleur went on to say offensively, just want to see more fight from our guys. That was frustrating. Just a lack of ability to move the football, both in the running game and in the passing game. We've definitely just got to reevaluate and take a long, hard look at everybody. So, I mean, you can take we could almost play a little good cop, bad cop with this thing. One side is like, oh gosh, you factor in joint practice, you factor in the game that didn't look good. Is there some concerns? Oh my God, they're not playing well. Then on the other side, it's like, but it's preseason. It's preseason 2. Packers backups playing against Denver starters. This could go back and forth all day. I think the one thing, if I had to pick one thing from last night's yawner of a game, was that if there are starters that are going to miss some extended amount of time, then I think there's a concern about maybe some depth on this team, talent-wise. And maybe it just could have been a rough few days. I don't know. It could have been. I think you also have to factor in, too, not a whole lot of scheming, not a whole lot of game planning. You're asking guys to do some basic stuff, but to win one-on-ones. And I know if you're a coach and the coaches, they don't use that as an excuse that, you're not game planning as much and you're not scheming and all that. But that's not an excuse to them, and I understand it, and I get that, too. So, I mean, we could go back and forth on this all day long. But I think if there was one thing that maybe showed, and you could say that's honestly for a lot of teams out there, right? If not all teams. If you lose a lot of starters, and you got to rely on your backups, your role players, your depth, maybe you don't win as many games. Once in a while, hey, it works out. 2010 Packers, right? Get on a little bit of a hot streak, and then you go win a Super Bowl. It's not the case all the time. But question I'm throwing out there now is, and Matt LaFleur was kind of non-committal. He left the door open to the possibility for starters to play. He left the possibility of starters to play at least a little bit in his final preseason game. But when we go back to what Matt LaFleur said last week, where he already said starters aren't going to play in the game, takes a little bit more, or he thinks they'll get more out of the joint practice. All right, starters, especially in the offensive side, didn't do that well in their joint practice with Denver. And then we saw what we saw last night. So the question at hand now is, okay, you got a similar situation this week. Baltimore's coming to town for a joint practice. You have your final preseason game on Saturday. Do you have that same mindset that, okay, starters are not going to play in that final game? We're just going to do the joint practice and call her good. What would you, if you were Matt LaFleur, if you had to give him some advice or you were the head coach, what would you do in this situation? Because the other part of this, those quarterbacks for Green Bay last night, if there really is a competition between Michael Pratt and Sean Clifford, both those guys weren't that great last night. So do you want to give them more reps if this is a realistic if it's a realistic, job, got both these guys are in the running for the backup quarterback spot. If that's a realistic job battle, do you want more snaps for those guys? Or does it really not matter between those two? Because if they have to go in there and start some games, they're still probably not going to win a whole lot of games for Green Bay. For me, and again, if you're going to the game, like myself and some others who've chimed in, I'll put this aside that, yeah, of course, I want to see starters play. I'm going to the game. Well, duh. If it were me, I think starters have to play a few snaps, a series or two in this game. I think they have to. Yes, you have the joint practice in there. You have that. But I also feel like, okay, there's anybody who hasn't gone, whether it's been a preseason game or a regular season game, if there's one team of all the teams in the National Football League that can emulate a real regular season game in a preseason game, like emulate the environment of a real regular season game in a preseason game, it's Green Bay. And it's because of you, the fans who show up. They pack that stadium for a useless game. Being a little dramatic because it's not a useless game for a lot of those guys. But if you want to emulate, you see these guys do their pregame warm-ups, right? You see the starters go through the pregame warm-ups to kind of, get ready for the regular season, to kind of start to get a routine. And Ted Thompson always used this line of like, especially when it was like family nights or preseason and that, and it's like, I want to see their eyes under the lights. I want to see the whites of their eyes. Like, do they get really big? Like, is the moment a little too big? And Green Bay always is I think better than a lot of teams, if not all those teams, where they can emulate the regular season environment within a preseason because of you, the fans. You show up. You'll spend money on preseason tickets. You'll pay a little bit more than what a lot of teams are selling their preseason tickets for because you want to go to Green Bay. You want to experience it for your youngsters. You want to give them a chance to go to their first game because maybe regular season is a little too much. You still pack that thing. It's close to 70,000 people for a dang preseason game. So, yes, I want to see the starters play a little bit in this game. I want to see them kind of get into a little bit of a flow, get into a little bit of a groove. And you got some time off. I mean, you got the week off afterwards, and then you got a Friday game in Brazil. So, I mean, there's a lot of downtime in that. But that also feeds into why I kind of want to see them get on that field too, because of the downtime. So, I do want to see the starters play a couple series, however long that's going to be, whether it's the first quarter or maybe it's, halfway through the first or whatever. I do want both offensively and defensively. I want to see those guys out there. I want to see them compete. I want to see them grab a little bit of like, okay, it's that feel good. Like this was a bad week. This was a bad week with Denver. Let's try to get some positive mojo back here. But also, will it help Green Bay start the regular season hot? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you see some teams like Kansas City is a really good example. They play their starters a little bit in the preseason. Other teams don't, and they start off fine too. So I don't know if this will help. But if it were me, if I was consulting, if I had a say, if Matt LaFleur is listening right now, I'd be like, Coach, I would play starters offensively and defensively here for a couple possessions, few snaps. Is there a risk of guys getting hurt? Yes, of course there is. It's football. There's a risk every time there's a play, every time there's a snap. There is a risk. Every time there's a kickoff, there is a risk of somebody getting hurt unnecessarily in a useless game. I understand that. But I think this is a group that has to play some snaps together. And really, too, in this final preseason game, I want to see Morgan out there. I want to see Edgerrin Cooper get out there I want to see those rookies out there. We saw Hopper out there for his first time, and honestly, if you were to pick a player outside the punter that maybe was kind of a player of the game, you might have to go with Hopper. 11 total tackles, kind of flying all over, showing his speed last night. The positives are pretty slim pickings from last night's preseason game. It's pretty slim. So, yeah, I think I would. I'd want to see some starters play. One thing we haven't really heard, or at least I haven't heard a whole lot about, or I haven't heard a lot of talking about, is defensive guys logging some snaps in the field with a new defense. A lot of times you hear teams like, okay, we're going to play. It's kind of like that last year with the Packers on the offensive side, right? Jordan Love playing every game. It's like, okay, we got a new starting quarterback. He's going to play in every game so we can get the offense going here and get used to each other and all that. And sometimes we hear that too with new defenses or new play callers on the offense side coming in. You haven't really heard that a whole lot about Green Bay. And I know a lot of it is too because yes, you're changing from a 3-4 to a 4-3, but a lot of the other stuff is similar. So there's not a ton of different language, or it's not like you're learning a brand new thing. There's a lot of transition stuff into it, so it made it a little bit easier for these defensive players to grasp it and hit the ground running. But I'd still like to see it. And golly, we are no closer, I don't think, to deciding who the kicker is going to be with this thing. I mean, if there was one thing last night that I would have liked to have seen, especially a little wind in that, is to see a lot more field goal opportunities. And we got one, and Greg Joseph missed it. And Greg Joseph has been struggling here a little bit. So I feel like Anders Carlson is the guy right now. I think he's the guy. He's the leader in the clubhouse for that kicking position. Whether you like that or not, I think he's the leader. And it probably makes a lot of fans a little bit nervous. Right? I think it's fair to say that. What would you do? What would you do? Let's take a quick break here, and then I'll get back to some. I want to give you a few more minutes to chime in here. But you were the Packers. You are the Packers head coach. You are, maybe you got the ear of Matt LaFleur. What would you do with this final preseason game? Knowing you have a joint practice, coming up here, would you play the starters in this final preseason game coming up on Saturday? Do you think they need it? Would you do it? Let me know. Hit me up with a text. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back, and we'll get back to your thoughts coming up after these quick words. Not sure if you could tell from all the fall decor, maybe even the Halloween stuff coming out that are already flooding the stores out there, or your social media feeds like countdowns to pumpkin spice or Christmas or anything like that. Well, fall is coming, is what they're trying to tell you. So while the leaves may start to fall along and change some colors, well, along with the temperatures falling here shortly, it's actually going to get a little bit warmer here, but you go, calendar, flip the calendar and such. You should fall into Carpet City Flooring Center and finally update that flooring of yours in your home. See, falling leaves, falling with temperature, falling into Carpet City. Anyways, maybe it's time for you to put together that man cave for football season, or remodel that bedroom or living room, or change out those shower tiles and bathroom splashes. Whatever it may be, honor the changing of the seasons by changing up your flooring game. Just head to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and let the team there help you accomplish your flooring dreams. And maybe to get in the mood for the changing of the season, maybe add some Rigid Max flooring, some new Rigid Max flooring. Give you that kind of like cabin feel, especially with like hunting season or such. That would look amazing in your space, trust me. So fall on into Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and upgrade that flooring game of yours. Speaking of the hunting season, hopefully you're able to get those antlerless deer tags in your zones. I know they went on sale last week. Still some available out there, depending on, again, your zone. But if you're not ready for the upcoming hunting season, it's okay. You still have a little bit more time, but you want to make sure that you are really ready for this hunting season. But if you want to make sure that you're really ready for this hunting season, you need to visit Sean and Hunter at Tilden Gun. Whether you're getting ready for fall turkey or maybe some duck hunting, I want to go do some more duck hunting this year for sure. That's on my list. Jake from State Farm might have to tag along with you boys or something like that. Or if you're getting ready for the November deer season, Tilden Gun has something for everyone. And the boys at Tilden Gun will help you find just what you're looking for if you have something specific in mind. They have the best selection in the Chippewa Valley, all at the best prices. Don't believe me? Well, you can see it for yourself by visiting tildengun.com. One of Wisconsin's biggest traditions is getting ready to start back up. Get ready for the upcoming hunting season by visiting Tilden Gun today at 12427 90th Avenue, Chippewa Falls, or again, visit tildengun.com. All right, the question at hand. Do you play any starters? Do you play any starters for this final preseason game against the Packers? Surveyor Sam says, yes, the starter should play. They have a crazy start to the season, and the Packers under LaFleur are notorious for starting slow. You don't see the Chiefs resting their guys. C-Bomb, by the way, says he will set the draft time today for anybody who is in our fantasy football league. One, it's preseason, no game planning, starters on the bench. Two, I'd like to see a couple series out of the starters. Three, most important, we need to sign Ryan Tannehill. If 10 goes down, we are screwed. Clifford has not improved, and Michael Pratt is just too young and inexperienced. We need a veteran that can win if we need to win. It's interesting. Ryan Tannehill is still out there. Who else would be? Who's a free agent veteran quarterback? I'm sure there's going to be some teams that are probably going to release some guys coming up here too. I mean, I think Josh Johnson has to check off that box of playing for Green Bay. I know he's with a team right now, but who else is out there? All status is available. Let's go quarterbacks. I'm just trying to do the filters here a little bit. Okay, filtering and sorting. Okay, no, I want available. There we go. Tannehill, yep. Brian Hoyer, Blaine Gabbert, AJ McCarron, Matt Barkley, Trevor Siemian, Nathan Peterman. Didn't Nathan Peterman just sign, I thought, though? I'll have to double check that. So, yeah, that's an interesting one because, I mean, I'm trying to think. I think he was LaFleur when he was with Tennessee for the 1 year as a play caller. Tannehill was there, right? I mean, I know he had a little bit. Marcus was still there too for a little bit, but Tannehill was there, I think, too. So, I mean, maybe a little familiarity. I think their times there coincided just a little bit, right? Somebody can double check that for me off the top of my head, but interesting. Honestly, I'll be upfront about I wouldn't mind a veteran backup. I wouldn't mind that at all. So honestly, this might be one of the very, 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 very few times I agree with you, C-Bomb. I probably would agree with you. I probably would agree with you. Now, did Tannehill just do like an interview a week or two ago? Like he's in no rush or he's just waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know. I'd have to double check that. But no, if veteran quarterback, veteran backup quarterback, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there, C-Bomb. A couple more texts coming in here. This is from Ben. Ben says he'd like to see the starters play at least a quarter of the game on Saturday, both offensively and defensively. Agree with Surveyor that they've got to start fast this season. What do we got here? This is from Jeff. Jeff also says he'd like to see the starters play a little bit in this final preseason game because they have a long gap between that game and their first regular season game. Another texter says, no, does not want to see the starters play. Don't have a name there, but does not want to see the starters play. He's nervous about injuries. He or she is nervous about injuries. Another texter here says, yes, starters should play a little bit in this upcoming preseason game. I wouldn't mind seeing them play the first half of this game. All right. Now, I guess we could throw out how much would you like to see, but it's such a variable, right? I mean, it could be, well, I want them to play a quarter. Well, what if the quarter is only one series, or you want them to play 2 series? Well, what if it goes 3 and out right away? Do you want them to get a little bit more work in there? So I think it's got to be by feel, right? I think it's got to be by feel for the most part. So a couple more. We got this is from Steve. Steve says, I'd like to see the Packers play at least a few series in this upcoming preseason game. Start to feel a little bit better about the offense to begin the season on a high note. Okay. Greg is also saying he'd like to see the starters play at least a half in that final preseason game. So I mean, I know Matt LaFleur, again, he opened the door to the possibility. I think for me, what would be kind of curious is, does he have kind of a change in his mindset? Going back to last week where, he said that starters get a little bit more out of the joint practice. That's why they weren't going to play in this game. But considering how it all went, even the joint practice and that game, does he change it up a bit? Does he change it a little bit? That's kind of where I'm wondering. Now, Matt Schneidman, who covers the Packers for The Athletic, he's got his next roster prediction, and it kind of goes along with what C-Bomb brought up there. Do the Packers need to look elsewhere for a backup quarterback? Looking at that and much more in the new 53-man roster after what he saw in last night's preseason loss. For what it's worth, what he says for the quarterbacks, he's got 2. Sean Clifford is the backup. Clifford's first snap Sunday night was a botched exchange. His last was an interception. Yeah, that was a bad one there too. There wasn't much better in between before rookie 7th rounder Michael Pratt replaced him with 30 seconds remaining in the first half, aside from a nifty first down scramble on 3rd and 10. LaFleur said post-game that he has to watch the tape to determine if the timing of Clifford's throw or the depth of Wilson's route was more of the fault for the pick. Even so, the 5th-round pick hasn't seized control of the backup job over the rookie, and that in itself might be concerning for the Packers. Pratt wasn't much better, and the Packers can probably sneak him through waivers to the practice squad. They could sneak both through, but you might as well keep the guy with a better understanding of the offense so you don't risk a division rival. scooping him up. If neither guy makes a convincing case to be Jordan Love's backup in the next week, do the Packers look to free agency, the waiver wire, or trade for their number 2? All right. Running backs, he still has Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon, Marshawn Lloyd. Again, I think it's telling A.J. Dillon to not play. Packers hold him in higher regard, I think, than a lot of fans do. The caveat to this whole thing, and that's actually the word Matt just used there, is going to be Marshawn Lloyd's hamstring. I think Emmanuel Wilson makes the team. I really do. Wide receivers, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jayden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Bull Melton, Grant DuBois. Malik Heath might have been the best receiver yesterday. That's going to be tough. I feel like Grant or Malik, you can kind of sneak on the practice squad, so it's going to be dependent on how they go about that. Changed out the offensive line here a little bit. Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Jordan Morgan, Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, Jacob Monk, Kadeem Telford, and Travis Glover. He swapped Glover for Andre Dillard. Looking at, defense, tackles, same. Defensive ends, same. Linebackers, same. That's why I feel like there's not really any jobs opened in that part. Oh, a little bit of change here. It goes with 6 corners now. Corey Ballentine makes the team. So, I mean, there's not a ton over here. Anders Carlson is the kicker after missing a 47-yarder way right in Sunday's game. Greg Joseph is 52 of 64 on field goals this summer, 81.3%. Carlson is 51 of 63, 81%. Matt also says, I've said all along, I think Joseph would have to blow out Carlson to win a job, and he's not doing that. So, interesting. A couple interesting things there. All right, let's throw that out. Throw another question out. Do you think the Packers need to bring in a veteran backup quarterback for this season? Especially, it's one thing if you're going into a season where you're like, okay, kind of like last year, a little bit unknown with the offense, got a really young team, and they got a young team again this year. But you're kind of going in with that thought of like, okay, we're going to be doing a lot of growing and got a lot of young dudes over there, so we're going to have a young backup quarterback. But now this year, you've got championship aspirations. You've got championship goals, right? So does that change? Does that change the mindset a little bit? Like, you know what? Kind of like what Seabaum was saying a little bit earlier. If you got to miss a couple games, you want to have that veteran back there. Chiefs have done that, right? They've had a veteran backup for Patrick Mahomes. So should that be the thought process there? Something to think about. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll do a little weekend hangover. All right, we'll finish up the second hour with a little weekend hangover. Then coming up after 8, we'll catch up with JC in the EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. All right, we'll hit him up, do a little local sports roundup, and get back to some more Brewers chat as well. But what's on your mind? Hit me up with those messages on the video stream or the texting line. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Have any last-minute road trips or vacations planned yet? Hey, you want to make sure your vehicle is ready to hit the road through those last-second trips, or maybe you're getting ready for some trips like to Green Bay for some football or high school football games coming up this weekend. You want to make sure your vehicle is ready to hit that road. That's why you need to make sure your oil is changed and your tires are in good shape. You can do all that by visiting ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only does ASAP Used Auto Parts help save you money on high quality used auto parts, but they are your go to spot for oil changes and new tires, too. So hit the road for one more trip this summer and get your vehicle ready to do so by visiting ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Got about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes, about 9 minutes to the top of the hour here. Again, we'll catch up with Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire from WEAU 13 News, coming up shortly past 8 o'clock. We'll do a little local sports roundup. Big week. High school football season for 11-man football begins on Friday. So we'll hit that up. And I know we had some tennis action already this past weekend. So we'll do the local sports roundup with Justice coming up just past 8 o'clock. So any of you who are in our fantasy football draft, all right, C-Bomb, who is the commissioner, I have anointed him the commissioner, so because otherwise I'll just kind of fall off it. I do have a team in there, but it's actually going to be Hudson's team. So just so you know, you're going to have a 7-year-old beat all of your butts in this fantasy football league. All right, just saying. But C-Bomb has set the draft. He did send me a video too for proof that it was a randomized draft. So in case anybody is all up in arms about it. So the draft date and order is set for all of you who are in the draft. Just go and check it out over there too. So for those of you who are not, I don't need to bore you with details or anything like that. But just so you know, I do have a team in there, but it's actually going to be Hudson's team. So just so you guys can all lose to a 7-year-old. Trash talk. I'll do the trash talk, and he will do the picking and lineups and drafting and all that. By the way, what time did you set? 7:30 p.m. Okay. He does have a football game that night, but we should be good. We should be good with that. So, all right, let's do the weekend hangover here. The best and the worst, the highs and the lows from this weekend. The best for me is easy. It's simple. Don't need to overthink it. The Brewers, the Milwaukee Brewers. What they did this past weekend against the Cleveland Guardians, a team that had the best record heading into it, one of the best teams in all of Major League Baseball, to sweep them was fantastic. But you add on that your 3 starters, Aaron Civale, Freddie Peralta, Colin Ray, all picked up wins. They were solid, especially Colin Ray yesterday. That to me is the easy pick, my easy pick for the high from the weekend. That was fantastic to see that. And ever since losing the first 2 to the Dodgers in that first half inning, actually, no, the first inning in that third game against the Dodgers, where it was looking a little down, they changed it out. Boom. My downer, though, I'm staying with the Brewers. It is the Christian Yelich injury, and I know we talked about it on Friday. I mean, that was the talking point there. It stinks. It sucks because the guy was having an all-star year, was an all-star. That's a big bat to lose within that lineup, especially when we get to the postseason, to lose him and to lose what he was bringing to this offense. It is going to be a hole. And one player on this team can't replace him. It's got to take a whole collective effort, including the pitchers. And we saw that from those guys this past weekend. So the downer is it stinks for Christian Yelich to be done for the whole season, for the rest of this season, after he was having another, a season that a lot of Brewers fans have wanted to see for a long time. a season from Christian Yelich that a lot of Brewers fans have wanted to see for a long time. So that's the downer. That to me is the downer. All right. You still have some time if you want to send in your weekend highs and your weekend lows. Also, some weekend warrior shout outs. Come on, don't be shy. If you played in the tournament, you biked 12 miles, you did something. Come on. We want to brag you up. Hit me up with a little weekend hangover or weekend warrior text. All right. Want to give you a shout. This is your only chance I'm going to give you or somebody you know a shout out here this morning. Coming up next hour, we'll get back to some Brewer chat. So I'm going to rewind it here to the first hour. I threw out a couple questions in that first hour that I want your opinions on with the Brewers, okay? One, two-part question. One, as we are now in the final quarter of this regular season, what was your biggest concern with this team as we head into this final quarter outside of health? Because we know health is probably number one. If it's not number one, it's probably number two on your list. So we take health off the table. What is your number one concern with this team heading into the final quarter? Second part, what are you actually most confident in about this team heading into the final quarter of the season? So think about that. We'll get back to some more of your responses coming up a little bit later on. Also, when it comes to the Packers, and it looks like the majority of you are saying yes, they should. Should Green Bay play starters in this final preseason game after what we saw last night and after what we heard about joint practice with Denver when the starters were practicing? It didn't go that great. Maybe they got a little humbled. So if you're Matt LaFleur or you have Matt LaFleur's ear or he shoots you a text and says, hey, Joe Bob, what do you think we should do with starters in this final preseason game? What would you tell him? What would you do? Do you play starters for a little bit? And you don't have to say a quarter. You don't have to say a series. You don't have to say like 5 series or anything like that. Because I think we would all agree it's a feel thing. It depends. You could say, well, play them for a quarter. Well, what if that quarter only means 1 series? Or if you say, oh, only play them for 2 series. Well, what if that series is a 3 and out for each time? It's got to be a feel thing, right? So you don't necessarily have to give me how much time or anything like that. But if you think they need to play a little bit in that final preseason game, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, or give me a yes, and maybe give your reasons. Like a lot of you saying, they got to start season high. They got to start it hot. Got a schedule right away, tough schedule right away. Maybe you're factoring in that week off in between the final preseason game before their Friday night game against Philly and Brazil. You want to get a little work in there. Or maybe you're like, no, don't play them in a useless game. I'm curious to hear from you. All right. So let me know. Give me your thoughts on that. All right, got about 30 seconds before the shot clock ticks off here. So get those texts coming in here. We're going to catch up again with JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director, WEAU 13 News. It's about to be a whole lot more busy for him and Brandon and such with high school football. We got our first games coming up at the back end of this week, Thursday and Friday and that. So we'll catch up with Justice and kind of take a look ahead at some of those games. Also, other fall sports, prep sports coming up here too. So we will we'll take a look at that and such. All right. 2 in. Flying on by on this Monday morning. 2 in. We got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Final hour on this Monday morning of August 19th coming at you. Appreciate you all making us a part of your start here on this Monday morning as we inch closer and closer to the start of school and fall and football games and such. We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well. The crew do have the off day today as they get set to take on the St. Louis Cardinals for a 3-game series coming up here, as we said, starting tomorrow and such. But we begin saying good morning to our good buddy, Mr. J.C. Nisi, Justice Cleveland.
Good morning, everybody.
In studio, too. Look at that.
I know.
How about
amazingly getting me off my duff to head in here.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Getting ready for now the busy season coming up here.
I mean, they start Thursday.
Yeah.
Football season begins, and we already have like tennis matches starting up.
Yeah.
This week, I know soccer and volleyball, and I'm probably forgetting something else that startup swimming's going on this week too. So I mean, everything
cross country.
Thank you. Yep. I'm sorry, cross country folks out there and whoever else I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean the busy time for not only us but those student athletes getting back at it now too.
Yep, exactly. So obviously, football's a big one. 11-man football. We know 8-man starts the week later, right? So games start a week
later. They're just starting their practice last week.
Scrimmage, I think.
Scrimmages, I saw a couple of those on the schedule there.
Yep. So we had a lot of scrimmages on Friday, I know, for a lot of teams there, whether it was Menominee welcoming Regis over there, and I know Chippewa had North over with their scrimmage and such, which is kind of weird to say because of the changes in the division and such. So, but man, oh man, what, you got games starting this week here. Was it because Regis plays Thursday, right? Is that correct?
Regis is Friday.
Regis
They're
Friday.
at Turtle Lake on Friday.
Okay.
They make the road trip up there, and then I got the whole list right here.
Look at that. Yeah.
Thursday you've got Spass versus Chi-Hi. Good matchup to start the season there. And, one that we'll see more. You can get these. Now that it's the Valley and Big Rivers together, you get Spass and Chi-Hi to start it off. Rice Lake, DC Everest, another good one. Rice Lake back in the Big Rivers. So they start off against a DC Everest squad that's, I've seen, just knowing from friends out there, it's looking pretty tough. So that'll be a good one. Menominee and Eau Claire North. I mean, now with the switch there, you're getting first week 1 matchups of old rivalry games right there. And then to start the season,
and Eau Claire North took a nice jump last year, right?
With they have been. Yes, under McGinnis, they've made the steps every year, adding another win, and for a team that had the longest losing streak in the state at one time.
Yeah,
this is it's nice to see that rise slowly. I mean, that's a tough test though against Mike Sinn's Menominee squad right out of the gate. That one at Carson Park on Thursday. And then just a couple more. Glenwood City, Aliva Strum. Glenwood City usually is tough, so Aliva Strum's rebuilding. Bangor, Melman as well. Logan Ellsworth, and then River Falls, Wisconsin Rapids, and Richmond and Marshfield. So, yeah, I mean, a good start to the season right there with the football games. That'll be on just Thursday night only.
Right. Wow, man, it's gonna be a busy Thursday night. So, and then Friday, what we got? Like, I'm assuming Memorial in action.
Memorial's at Hudson, so that'll be Westcott's first game. Action. It'll be another. I mean,
tough one.
Think about North Memorial going up against Hudson and Menominee to start their seasons. I mean, those are right out of the gate. You're going to find out where you're at. So, Augusta Cadott, Stanley Boyd, Colby.
That's going to be. I know Brandon kind of talked a little bit about that on Friday. A little rivalry renewed. With those two.
Stanley Boyd turning a lot of great players. An offense that Koenig had just going well. The defense was they kind of sputtered at times last year, but I think that team's going to be really tough this year. Another old rivalry game, Altoona, Fall Creek.
Oh, yeah.
And they usually kind of start out the season there. So now Altoona in the middle border, Fall Creek in the Clover Belt. So new head coach for Fall Creek as well.
Yeah.
So,
Marcus over there.
Yep. New Lisbon, Neilsville, Granton, Bloomer, Somerset. Then I got the Regis Turtle Lake and going down to Colfax, Whitehall, Elk Mountain, Spooner. A lot of road games for the teams in our area. Mondovi GET, that one should be a fun one to watch. Greg Loscheider always brings the energy. That Mondovi team, they lost a lot of key players, but they still got a lot of good ones left from last year. That was a co-conference champion there. So going off to GET, which had a decent season last year too, and then Spring Valley, Arkansas. And I apologize, Boyceville, Indy, Gilmanton, EPC, Alma Pepin. I just want to make sure no one's mad at me. CFC Brookwood. So if there's anybody else, Baldwin, Woodville, Mount Horeb, Prescott, Northwestern, and yeah, I mean, there are a ton of games out there, and if I apologize if I forgot your team, but I went through as many. Oh, here it is. There's I have an extra little list there. Mauston, St. Croix Central, Barron, Cameron, Cumberland, Chautauqua, Edgar, Ladysmith, Hayward, Lakeland Union, and Unity St. Croix Falls, just to name a few games that will be going on Friday night.
Man, so it'll fish, and then it just gets busier next week with all the 8-man teams in there
yes,
too.
So the 8-man in there, and then we'll have volleyball will be starting up during that week, and yeah, I mean it's fun. It is. It's a lot of fun, and if week one, a lot of unknowns. You have these teams that you kind of pencil in as ones that are going to be good, but somebody's going to come out and surprise us, and that's really what is so fun to see, where these teams can progress from and how they're doing, and we'll find out right away here.
Yeah. And I know college-wise, Blue Golds have a couple weeks left coming, but they started practice, it looked like last week too, and saw a new facility getting some work in there.
That was like perfect, cool, right? Mother Nature opened up the skies, so they had to go practice in the new field house at the Sonntag Center. That's that thing's pretty. I've yet to see it with my own eyes, but every piece of videotape that I've seen and every picture I've seen, it is just spectacular and amazing to have that right here in Eau Claire. That really is going to be a game changer for that team. I think if you're a college recruit and you see that facility, your eyes are going to be wide open. I mean, it looks as good as the Hudson Center in Green Bay. Yeah. If not better, because the Hudson Center's already 30 years old.
Mid-90s, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was when I was in high school, so it's still a great facility. I'm not going to knock it that way, but yeah, to have that right here, that's going to be big. And I said, I think you're going to see maybe some pro or college teams, if they're playing like the Vikings, try to line up to use, or not the college teams, you're giving the same. Right. If you're playing the Gophers, why wouldn't you try to line up in that indoor center and say, hey, can we rent this out for a practice or two while we're getting ready to play somebody?
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, but I'm just saying, you've seen it before where teams travel and practice somewhere near with the team they're playing. Why not there? I mean, if you have a chance to do it, go for it. So great addition to this community.
Yeah. Concordia College is first up on there. That's not till September 7th, but I'm excited to see the new second year get underway.
Yeah, I think Rob Erickson has lit a fire under this program. Just if it's not just from the players that are there, it's really going out there and showing how much they're recruiting, showing the recruits that they're getting, being really open with the guys that they have coming in. I think it was 40% or 40 men, something like that. That's the roster. Yeah, that they have that are coming in. That's already paying dividends, having that new facility, and Simpson Field just keeps getting bigger and better. And so to me, this is going to be a fun year to watch and see where you got some veterans and some key positions on that team, and you've had a year to work with Erickson and his staff. Good luck to them. I think it's going to be fun to see.
Absolutely. So, and I know this week too, actually, I mean, you got soccer that's going to get off with the Blue Golds. They're going to be next. I know volleyball's got a little scrimmage. I shouldn't say a little scrimmage, but a scrimmage coming up this week too. So, I mean, Blue Gold Sports is getting underway here.
Yeah, everybody's getting back to campus and getting raring to go.
Right. So, with that too, we've got I was just going to say recapping Northwoods League, but it's been kind of a couple weeks now already here too. But man, what a run!
They made a run.
To the Express.
I give them such credit. That team made a run for the playoff and just end up a game short. It's a little heartbreaking, but man, there was a lot of memories from that season. That more home runs that I've seen in the Northwoods League in my 14 years here. 15. That would have been my 15th season,
right?
Or 15 years because COVID. Anyways, but. Yeah, I mean, that run to turn it around in the second half, that's what you love to see about the Northwoods. League. You get that second chance, and they took advantage. And it's so funny to watch what Lacrosse did, winning the first half title, and then second half just kind of took it easy, then got into playoffs. And didn't look like they didn't miss a step. So yeah. So it was a fun season. You got to go back to the Babe Ruth team making a run, and then of course the Legion team just one game short of going to nationals as well. And just fondness every year in, year out. Those teams are just built and do such a great job. And Yeah, I mean, baseball in this area is very healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of facilities for people to keep going year round, and that's the fun thing, is that it's just going to keep getting better. You throw in the CRBL, Wisconsin State League, and all the great play that we have from the local teams too. It's been a good summer for baseball in Eau Claire in the area.
Oh, you mentioned our good friend Mark. He actually just texted a couple minutes ago. He said he was going to message you. But at the North game Thursday, he says they're going to be celebrating their 1974
Yes.
BRC Conference Championship team, the first in North High history, 50 years ago. Can't believe I'm that old. So, hey, Robin Yount's rookie debut, they celebrate 50 years ago yesterday too. So there you go, Mark.
You're not old, Mark. Come on.
You're just like
young.
You're like the kid, Robin Yount. There you go. Right?
It keeps you young being around all those kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the two. Either it makes you feel young or makes you feel old right away. But yeah, I saw that. That's awesome. Unfortunately, I don't think we have that in the old tape archive. That would be the film archive, honestly. But yeah, we will be there, and we'll talk to some of those players for 50 years. That's awesome to be able to get those guys together and celebrate that. As with those new, something we didn't mention with those teams in the area now too is both Memorial and North are going to have those turf practice fields.
That's right. Yep.
The one over at Memorial, because I'm by that one all the time. I mean, to see a press box.
I was going to say the bleachers look like they're finishing up those on that side too with the press box up there.
And that's a boom not only for them, but soccer teams as well. That'll be able to play under the lights.
Yep.
Which, it's track and field meets. You won't have to, Mother Nature won't be ending your track and field meets early because you're going to have lights there. So
yeah,
another great addition to the area sports facilities.
Yep, definitely. Absolutely. So good stuff all across with our local sports. And it's just going to get a little
tip
bit
of the
more
iceberg
busier
right now.
Yep, exactly. So just to kind of wrap it up for the local side of things, when it comes to, say BRC, Big Rivers Conference football, I mean, such the difference now with everything in there. Is that where, do you think it's almost kind of an unknown who could be the leaders within this division right now, just because of all the changes? And I mean, first game just coming up here. Like, I don't want to get too into like predictions or anything like that, but it's like, does that throw a wrench into a little bit of the unknown because you got other teams coming into this thing too?
I think so. I think it's good. I mean, it is going to be a dogfight with those the now what are the Big Rivers teams.
Right.
The regular was not with North and Memorial over in the Valley. It's still the Valley. I mean, we call it what we want. It's still the Valley. For them, I think that benefits them. Going over into that conference, I think going to the Valley gives them a shot, because I don't want to go and say they're not as strong, but I mean, think of the teams that you had in the Big Rivers last year. You've got your Menominee that's going to be stacked. You've got your Chi High that played a lot of underclassmen last year and are returning them. So I think they're going to be really tough. New Richmond lost a lot of players, but they were a really tough team last year. River Falls always finds, offensively always seems to have the athletes that can really put up some scores. Hudson is year in, year out. You can't count them out. And I mean, that rhymes. I didn't mean to do that, but you got a Rice Lake team that went to state that's coming into the conference. So who do you go through? The Superior's there still too. Rob Scott going up there to try to revitalize that one. So who do you pick out of that?
Yeah,
that is going to be. I mean, the Big Rivers is going to be tough, very tough. So those non-conference conference games, however you want to call them, the ones where they play the crossover games those are going to be big games.
Yep,
those really are, because it's going to be a dogfight to the end to see who wins that Big Rivers Conference.
It's going to be a lot of fun though too. So, and anxious and nervousness.
Yeah,
and anxiety,
I think
so.
like the Clover Belt's going to be kind of the same way.
Yeah,
I think a lot of those teams are right there on the cusp. And Regis is right there. Stanley Boyd's right there. Elk Mound.
I was going to ask what Regis.
Mondovi, Durand Art. I mean, again, I got not to leave anybody out, but I mean, those are some. That's a lineup up and down. Bloomer.
Yep.
You throw these teams in there. It shake them up, pull one out, because that might be the one that ends up winning it.
I gotta, you mentioned Regis there too. I know they brought in Coach Cooper as an assistant on the offensive side. Our friend Dr. Austin Crow is also coaching over there too. That's probably the big one there.
Yeah.
If he's listening right now, some cred there. So helping out the pass rushers over there, going back to his college playing days. So no, I'm excited to get this season going.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, but I think it's a lot of competitive unknowns where it's just going to be a battle to see who ends up on top in all these conferences.
Yeah. All right. I want to transition here to a little Brewers here, JC. Brewers are 20 games over 500 right now. They hold an 11-game lead in the division. We are in the final quarter of this regular season now, but they're just one game back from the top spot in the National League right now. Half game behind the Dodgers for second. We've said it all season long, the job Pat Murphy and his group's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the news of Christian Yelich being done, what do? They sweep one of the best teams in all major league. I believe Cleveland had the best record going into that series.
Yeah.
And they sweep them. The starters were fantastic, especially Colin Ray yesterday. You had to use one word to describe his team. What's that word or phrase?
I mean, I think overachieving.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us would have predicted 20 games over 500.
Mm-hmm.
On pace to win 100 games, more than 100 games. I don't think any of us were looking at this team saying, yeah, that's a team that's going to go out there and put triple figures up for a win total. So I thought they'd be good. I thought they'd be competitive. But you lose somebody like Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, who you lost him last year, but another guy that, and then you're just kind of, it has been throw somebody out there. Freddie Peralta even says the struggles that he's had. I mean, he's been there, but he's not, I don't think you would say been performing as a number one starter.
Right. Yeah.
But you go up and down the bullpen, and if you look at like a guy like Colin Ray, there are so many guys that are 4 or 5 games above 500 with their records, just showing you, they stay in games. So those middle relievers are able to get those wins because this team is so scrappy. I mean, scrappy would be another great word to put in there because every time you throw something at them, they're able to battle back. So I've just been impressed. Pat Murphy, I mean, it would be so almost ironic that he would end up, if he ends up winning National League Manager of the Year.
Who else would though at this point?
Right?
That's the thing.
Exactly.
I mean,
after Counsell, how many times was right there in the running?
Second last year, even.
Yeah. So I think I mean, kudos to Pat Murphy and just the whole staff for the Brewers for what they've put together so far this year.
And I almost feel bad saying this, but it's like you look at what they're doing and you see where they're at in the standings, and it's like I keep thinking this, they're not supposed to be that. Like know, they're not, and I feel bad for saying that, but it's like how you know?
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
you're a game back from Philly, which a lot of people, I mean, they were the World Series were close to going to the World Series last year. Diamondbacks beat them, but they were a World Series contender at the beginning of the year. Dodgers, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
And who? And especially when, Yelich is now done and he was an all-star this year.
Yeah.
It's remarkable maybe at this point.
For me, it's the turnaround in situational hitting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year they just, I want to say stunk because, I mean, you made the playoffs.
Right. But still, if you felt like you're down 2-0, you're like, oh crap, we're not winning this.
Right.
Yeah.
Where this team, the small ball aspect is kind of back.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're built for.
Yeah.
If you're going to be one of these middle market teams, small market, let's be honest, market teams, you got to play, I think you got to play a little small ball. You've got to play the percentages a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I know the percentage people probably would say, well, swing away.
Right.
Try to get the home run. Like, no. Bunt a guy over to second. Use the speed. If you can steal bases now, use that. Get a guy to second, bunt him over to third, get a run in.
Mm-hmm.
Small ball's not dead, and I think the new rules have at least brought small ball back in a way.
Right.
So I mean, I think the situational hitting has been fun to watch because, again, this was a team that last year, they would have bases loaded, no outs, and you're like, can they at least come away with a run?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'd get nothing.
Yeah.
So it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, it is, and. I look at it, to me now is like, don't want to jinx it, but I feel confident they're going to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
So to me now is like, okay, the final quarter of this season, I'm looking at, okay, the next goal is being the top seed.
Yeah,
because
that would be huge. I think they need to get that hot top seed because
I get nervous about Diamondbacks Padres potentially playing them in the first round.
My toughest thing when I look at this team is, are they built for the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're facing everybody is basically number one starter every game. Yeah. If not, obviously you can't every game if you get into a 7-game series.
Right.
But if you're in these short series, that's really been the thing that's kind of hurt the Brewers in the last, going out there and not having the guy that can kind of square off against some other teams. I mean, Corbin Burns, but having an off game, you're not allowed to have an off game in those short series.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I'm still nervous about that.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to Colin Ray, who is just, I mean, I would not have picked him. I mean, is he the most unexpected guy who has potential for 20 wins since maybe Zach Davies that one year when he threw up like 17 wins and like a 4.30 ERA or something like that?
At the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, Colin Ray is like one of those guys that makes me nervous because I just don't know what to expect from him. But then you look at what he's done. He's probably been the most consistent starter.
Yeah.
Like he's gone one game per month. We were looking at this earlier where he's had that off game. Like,
yeah, and that was last week.
Dodgers, he had 7 runs. And then the month prior, he had like an outing where it was 5 or 7 runs. And then, Houston in May was that off game. But then it's like, even before this one against Atlanta, he went 7 innings. And it's just like he doesn't do anything special. He's just, I think Pat Murphy kind of summed it up perfectly yesterday. He's kind of an anchor within that starting rotation.
I agree. I mean, he throws strikes. I mean, that's the big thing. He throws strikes, but he changes his speed well. And he's getting more and more strikeouts. I think he's getting a little more confidence. I mean, at now this point, was he 11-4?
Yeah.
I mean, that to be at that point, to be 33 and just kind of having this come out of nowhere season is great. But I mean, we were talking about is like you look at the guys who Elvis Peguero's 7-3, Jared Koenig's 8-3. They're 15-6 combined.
He got his first career save yesterday for crying out loud.
And if you throw Bryce Hudson in there, Cy Young candidate Bryce Hudson, they're 20-7. Those 3 guys out of your bullpen to have 3 guys be 13 games above 500. You don't see that in this day and age, as you would have back in the day when you had everyday guys that were going 3 or 4 innings every game. Maybe back in the 50s, 60s until the 70s when we started having the modern day. So for this team to be able to do what they've done with those relief pitchers, that's key. But for having the starters be able to keep them in that position and not have those big blowups, also key. And that's why they're a scrappy team.
And then you look at now, maybe that bullpen is finally going to be to where Pat Murphy wants Devin as his closer, Trevor McGill coming back and maybe being that setup guy. And then you got maybe a Hudson who can come in the 7th or get a little versatility mixed in with him. I mean, it's setting up now at Devin Williams looks like maybe even a little bit better version, a healthy Devin Williams, a fresh Devin Williams. What he did in those last 2 games against the Dodgers to shut down Ohtani twice and Mookie Betts twice and Freddie Freeman in there with only 1-run leads. I mean, he looks like to have him fresh heading into the postseason. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this, man.
And the best thing is you don't have to pitch him on every night. You will have McGill there to come in and be the closer if you need him to be, which is great to have that option. To know that you have, knock on wood, 2 closers going in towards the stretch part of the season where because there's not really any deals you're going to be able to make.
Right.
So having that depth at a position that is key, especially in the postseason, I think that's huge. And let's talk about the guys that are throwing to. William Contreras is all of a sudden, it looks like he's kind of found the swing again and getting back to what he looked like the first 2 months of the season. I mean, last 2 months have not been great for him.
No.
But he plays every day.
Yeah.
And I think now he's kind of over that hump and looking good. And I say somebody like Jackson Chourio, who I think maybe is benefiting from Yelich's injury.
Yeah.
Because now he's that guy. As a 20-year-old. And you see that confidence just continuously growing with him.
Yep.
And him, I saw the Brewers' Mike Vassallo tweet out, hey, don't sleep on Jackson Chourio for Rookie of the Year. I know it's going to be tough with the field
Paul Skeens in there and
But hey,
he should be getting more love than what he's getting.
Right. I don't think most of the nation realizes that he's a 20-year-old because the other 20-year-old over in Baltimore,
Jackson Holliday,
gets all the headlines. But Jackson Chourio has been the one who's been producing the whole season. So,
yes.
It's just a fun team. You kind of, you have Robin and Yount there.
Yep.
And it kind of, gives you the thoughts of that 82 team and what they did. And coming out of, I don't know if they came out completely out of left field because they were a good team going into that season. But it's fun to kind of see people start rallying around. As, it's always for the Brewers, be relevant. Make sure you're there when the Packers sees because, you're going to lose a little bit of the headlines when the Packers start playing. But it's going to be hard to keep the Brewers out of the headlines if they keep playing like this.
Absolutely. And then, I know maybe one concern for whatever reason, Willie Adames' defensive kind of issues have been just kind of weird because most of his career has been a really good defensive shortstop. Was it Friday night? He had that weird one too, where it was a perfect grounder and then he dropped it. Then he tried to scoot it with his glove to break. That's the one you'd feel like that's going to turn around though too. I mean, a slump. Hopefully he kind of gets That's the worst thing that would happen to Willie is if you lose a big game because of an error
Right.
from Willie Adames. But he's been getting it done from the offensive side too.
Oh,
So
exactly. When you needed a clutch hit from him, he's pretty much been there, especially the
Mhm.
last couple months here. So hopefully it's just one of those, just get back into the rhythm.
Yep.
It's like the putting. You go out there and putt. You start thinking about putting. That's
Yeah.
when you get into trouble.
Yep.
So let's just go out there, kind of feel that natural, and he'll be fine. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a veteran
I think he's
player.
got that personality too, just to kind of like
The
not
team's winning,
overthink of it.
too.
Yeah.
Like if they were losing games and he's out there, you're turning into the White Sox. That's a whole different story. But when you're winning games and finding a way and being a big part of those wins, I think it helps too.
Yep. All right. Before I let you go here, really quick, final preseason game coming up Saturday. Should they play starters?
I mean, the backups didn't do anything that would make
No.
I guess they were playing against ones.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that was about as ugly as it can get. And
Mm-hmm.
you could see the frustration at halftime when he did the little halftime interview,
Yep.
which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want him to be out there, this is just preseason.
Mm-hmm.
He wants those guys performing at a high level, because how many times have we seen that team, especially last year, the year before, these backups are thrust into these positions, especially on defense.
Right.
You need to be out there and be at your best game, and offensive line, everything, really. They've had this kind of turnover in all these positions. So I don't know if you play. I mean, maybe you do first series, maybe for the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's the toughest thing, is you fear of the injury, but man,
Chiefs play their guys.
yeah,
I
think you got to get something out there, because you got to do much better than what you did last night.
It's going to be interesting because I know LaFleur said last week leading into the joint practice with Denver that starters weren't going to play because he thought, they'd get more work with the joint practice. Well, starters, from all accounts there too, that didn't go very well for starters in their joint practice. And then we saw what happened last night. Well, they got a joint practice with Baltimore before their game Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see if LaFleur has that same mindset. Like, no, we're just going to do the joint. They're not going to play. Or does he change it based off what happened this past week, too?
I bet you he goes in with a fluid attitude. Like, hey, if you guys do a great job in this, yeah, you're not going to play on.
Yep.
But if you guys go out there and don't show any life,
you're
going to get your butts out on the field.
Do you think, really quick, Green Bay needs to bring in a veteran backup quarterback with what we've seen from these youngsters at this point?
I don't know yet if that's. I mean, I don't see them. It doesn't seem like a Packers move.
Right.
Like, I think they're going with what they have. And one of them's more than likely going to end up either
P squad or something. Yeah.
So I don't think you bring in you have those two that younger guys. One of them's taking that backup job.
Right. And that's the hard thing too, is to figure out, because they don't game plan these preseasons. So would they perform better with an actual game plan?
Right.
You know,
number one start, number one receivers out there, number one line, number one everything.
Right.
Yeah. Would have been different for Sean Clifford. Possibly.
Right. Exactly. So, well, I'm going to be at the game. So, yes, they got to play starters the whole game, just to get a good grasp of it.
Right. You got to get the breakdown.
Exactly.
You got a clipboard. I don't even know if they allow you to bring a clipboard in, but
I can probably buy a notebook at the pro shop.
Right on the back of the program.
Over there. So, well, dude, we appreciate you stopping by. You're going to be able to hit the golf course a little bit, or is it going to be...
Still got the kids. They're not in school yet. So until that happens, it'll be a while before I get back out.
You try to get out there if you can, because I know you're going to be really busy, but we appreciate you taking some time to join us here, bud. So,
thank you.
Take a quick break. We'll be back with more after these few words. Summer isn't over yet, and neither are your backyard barbecue parties. So if you haven't tried all the different flavors of brats from Mike's Star Market yet, hey, you've got time this summer season. Whether it's the Bloody Mary brats, had a few of those yesterday, do a little tailgate for the game, dill, pickle, and cheese, or a classic beer brat, Mike's Star Market has a flavor for everyone to try. And you know you're getting the freshest, best quality of meats and the best customer service at Mike's Star Market. And just a reminder, tailgating season is coming up. Football fans, more chances for you to grab some brats with the grill. Mike's Star Market, deliberately old-fashioned to assure quality and affordability. All right. Big thanks to Justice Cleveland for stopping by and chatting with us a little bit here. If you missed a portion of that conversation, especially the local sports roundup, we'll have that up in a segment of the Man Cave Podcast. Man Cave Podcast brought to you by our good friends from Toyson Ford and Hy-Vee too. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you could, got a few seconds, 5-star rating or a positive review. That way others can help find the podcast. I am putting out a challenge, by the way, before we got to take our other break and do some sports or do some picks and predicts here. I am putting out a challenge. All right. Put it out there yesterday on the socials. Not a lot yet. Not a lot of run on it yet, but I'm putting out a challenge. All right. So, see, we've got a couple of or I should say I've got a couple of things we're working on for the fall. Couple content stuff, couple video stuff, couple of projects, if you will. And I've got a goal too. I think, Sports Talk 105.1, this show and that. We got a chance to do something pretty special here in Northwest Wisconsin, represent Northwest Wisconsin, Central Wisconsin, and such. So I've got a challenge out there. If we can get a combination of 2,000 more followers, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. So not 2,000 each, just a combination between the four. Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We get a combination of 2,000 more followers on there. I'm going to do our own version of the hot ones. You know that wing challenge show where you got, was it like 10 wings and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter? And we're going to do a live. All right, I'll self-deprecate myself. I'll embarrass myself. We're going to do a live. If we get a combination of the 2,000 followers. Okay, so YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. Subscribe to my Instagram page, Twitter, Facebook page, all that. Because we got some sweet stuff planned I'm excited about. I'm really excited about for the station and such. But I need some boots on the ground. All right, I need some boots on the ground, and I need your help to spread the good word, okay? I need you to be a member, to be a teammate with our Sports Talk team, okay? So go to my Facebook page or Twitter. You'll get more details up over there, all right? But I'm excited for what's coming up in the fall. A little bit of a tease there. All right, a little bit of a tease. So let's catch up on a couple texts here before we head to break here and do some pick'em challenges or picks and predicts here. Let's do here we got let's go with oh man, we got a few here. This is from another Steve, different Steve from a little bit earlier, but another Steve here. We got a lot of Steves. I think we got like a couple Steves from Eau Claire. So one in Altoona, I think. But Steve here says, with regards to should the Packers play starters or not, I think they have to play at least a quarter in the game on Saturday. We've got Chuck. Chuck is also saying with the Packers, I think they need to play the first half, considering they have a bye for the next week. They should play a half to get ready for their game on Friday. We've got another text here when it comes to the Brewers. This is from Derek. Derek is saying the thing that concerns me the most with the Brewers is, do they go into a slump before they head into the postseason? I think for that team to make a run in the postseason, they have to be on a hot streak and get some momentum going into the postseason. This is from Mike. Mike is saying with the Brewers, my biggest concern for them is like a lot of people mentioned, being too complacent. What I'm most confident in, I'll agree with everybody else. I think they win the division. C-Bomb says, I want to be there to feed these things to you. It's going to be amazing. All right. You can be there, C-Bomb. Others can be there too. I'm putting a challenge out to you right now. Kind of a slow start. Not going to lie. A little bit of a slow start. So, C-Bomb, you got some work to do to recruit some more followers. You got some work to do. All right. We'll take our quick break here, and then we've got some picks and predicts. We'll do some baseball games. I know not everybody's in action for games tonight, but we'll do some picks and predicts coming up here. Wrap up some things. Last call for any shout outs for our weekend warriors. You want to send those on over? Hit us up with a text 715-830-1912. Maybe not. Computer doesn't want to work again. Too much smudges on the screen. Quick break, and we'll be back to finish up things here this morning after these few words. Big brothers, big sisters, Northwest Wisconsin, Northwestern Wisconsin is looking for you. You listening right now to be a positive influence, to be a mentor to a young child in their life. We're looking for some bigs, all right? We're looking for some bigs because we've got a waiting list of kiddos waiting for some bigs, and we got to get that waiting list down. All right. There shouldn't be a waiting list for kids. There should be a waiting list for mentors waiting to help out some kiddos. All right. So if you're interested, it's about average an hour a week, or you could be flexible about 4 or 5 hours a month or so. And they'll match you up with a kiddo with same interests or such. So like if you're a big football fan or you like to go fishing, hey, get matched up with a kid like that too. So head to you can check out their Facebook page. They're always posting stuff up there. Otherwise, head to bbbsnw.org for more details and to submit an application and see if you can help out a kiddo over there. All right, B so 3 B's, bbbsnw.org. All right, doing fantastic stuff over there. All right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere to catch the game, especially with the upcoming football season. I mean, you want to talk about a man cave over there, some of the sweet memorabilia they got over there. I mean, it's so cool. So cool over there. We're going to be doing I know we're going to be doing a podcast, Spit It Out Day, a podcast over there, beginning part of the football season and such. So, but going over there, check out the place, watch some of the ball games over there. Great company and such. Before we get to our picks and predicts, I saw ESPN's got where you can predict the college football playoff. So it looks like they got a little machine here. 2024 college football season will look unlike any other before it, especially when it comes to the college football playoff. The college football playoff has expanded from 4 to 12 teams, opening up the field of national title contenders. So, who will make it? Make your picks below and see what the All-State Playoff Predictor foretells. Don't like your results? Change your pick and try it again. So, it's kind of fun there. So you can't pick the Badgers, it looks like. So what it does, you have to choose. You'll find 24 teams with the best chance to make the 12 playoff team, ordered from most likely to least likely, according to the All-State Playoff Predictor. Okay. Well, Wisconsin's not on there, so why don't? Well, this is kind of okay. I thought this was going to go quicker. It's not, but that's up. Since we're doing our picks and predicts, you can go to ESPN and do that. Also, by the way, reminder, you can also head to Sports Talk 1051.com, click on the Fan Cave tab, and you can pre-register to make your Pro Football Weekly picks. You can't make any game picks yet. That's going to open up in a couple days, but you can pre-register right now. Let's do some baseball picks here this morning. Again, I know there's quite a few teams who are off today and getting action starting tomorrow with some of their series, but we still got some games going on today. Let's start off with Arizona at Miami. Give me the Diamondbacks. I know they just lost 3 in a row, but I think they bounce back and pick up a win against Miami. Baltimore at the Mets. Mets need this to kind of get back in the wild card chase. Baltimore tied up with the Yankees right now for first place in the AL East. Give me Baltimore in this one. Let's go Boston at Houston. Ooh. I'll go Houston for this one. Twins taking on the Padres. Twins trying to catch Cleveland right now for first in the AL Central. I think the Twins are a team that's kind of flying under the radar in Major League Baseball right now. Padres playing really good, though, and it's at San Diego, so I'm going to go Padres. Let's go Seattle at Los Angeles. Seattle's trying to, get in that wild card spot. They're trying to catch Houston right now. Dodgers, NL West is hot on their butts here too, but it's in LA, so I'm gonna go with the Dodgers. I'm gonna go with the Dodgers with this one. So All right, that's your picks and predicts. Again, this morning brought to you by the Elbow Room. All right, let's kind of wrap things up here this morning. I only got a couple minutes to the top of the hour here. We talked plenty of Brewers sweeping the Cleveland Guardians. Now just one game back from the top spot in the national, perhaps even the top spot all across Major League Baseball, for crying out loud. Fantastic weekend for the Brewers. Fantastic weekend for their starters. Each starter picking up wins. So big time thumbs up for the crew. Perfect off day today, I think, because, I mean, they haven't had an off day since August 5th. They'll be on the road for a 3-game series with St. Louis starting tomorrow. 11 games ahead of St. Louis right now in the division. They really have a chance to knock them down even further. We talked plenty of Packers after that preseason game from last night, 27-2 victory for the Denver Broncos. A lot of meh, a lot of ugh from the Brewers or from the Packers last night. Main question now is going to be, does Matt LaFleur elect to play any starters in the preseason finale on Saturday at Lambeau Field against the Baltimore Ravens? It'll be interesting to see because last week Matt LaFleur elected to not play starters. And this was decided before their joint practice with Denver because he felt like the starters would get a little bit more out of their joint practice. Joint practice, from all accounts, it was all advantage Denver. We saw the game last night. So does Matt LaFleur, or Baltimore's coming in for a joint practice, does he have the same approach as he had last week? Does it get adjusted? Kind of left the door open for some starters playing on Saturday, but I think it's going to be something that goes throughout the whole week. I don't know if he's going to make a decision. He could today. He could wait till after their joint practice, but we'll see. We'll see. So something to kind of keep tabs on that. But for the most part, Packers were fairly healthy coming out of the game yesterday too. So that's kind of the most important thing, right? Most important thing, I think. So, but quite a few of you actually texted in saying that you're going to be heading to the game too. All right. Well, maybe we'll see you there. Coming up tomorrow, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So think about what's grinding your gears. You got about 21 hours or so to think about what's been grinding your gears lately. If you got to get something off your chest, think about it. Hold on to it until tomorrow when it's officially our Grind My Gears Tuesday. We're going to talk some Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal tomorrow, as well as we inch closer and closer to kickoff for the Badger season. Already talking about next week, man. It's coming up already next week, believe it or not. College football for the Badgers kicking off. I'm going to be here before you know it. So we'll break it all down and look ahead and talk all things Badgers with RJ coming up tomorrow about 8:25 or so. Big thanks to all of you for participating, sending messages, listening. And a lot of you are chiming in here this morning. My apologies if I didn't get to all of them. We had quite a few of them, but keep them coming, all right? Keep them coming. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Monday. Let's do this again tomorrow morning, just past 6. Talk to you then.